Hey, what's going on, everybody? Real Sports Updates here, back again with another video. Um, today's video is going to be about the spectacle slash fight last night between Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley. Um, so it went down in Cleveland, in the Quicken Loans Arena, where the Cavs play. So Jake Paul he beat Tyron Woodley. It was a split decision. In a exhibition boxing match, I guess you can call it. It was Tyron Woodley's first ever boxing match, his boxing debut. He's a well known MMA guy, long time UFC fighter. He's been fighting MMA for like close to 20 years or something like that. So he challenged Jake Paul to a boxing match, and Jake Paul, ended up accepting, and so that's what last night was all about. Now Jake Paul, he's him and his brother, they're very very polarizing figures. I guess it started off on YouTube, and now in the boxing slash professional fighting arena, they're very polarizing. They garner a lot of hate, but they also get a lot of views. People want to see these guys get hit and knocked out. So it's kind of crazy, the dichotomy that's there with that. But so Jake Paul, he ended up winning. Like I said, a split decision. I watched the entire fight. I had mixed reviews on it. I think Tyron Woodley he looked like an athlete, but he didn't look comfortable in a boxing ring, and for obvious reasons. He's never fought in a boxing match or anything like that. But he looked like an athlete though, and he looked like a guy who is not afraid of getting hit in the face, or you know fighting, or anything like that. You can tell that he has some you can tell he has some of that fighter spirit, even though that is not his expertise. As far as Jake Paul goes, Jake Paul, he knows his way around the ring. I wouldn't call him a professional boxer, because he hasn't boxed any other professionals yet. So until he does that, you can't really call him a professional fighter. It's like, you know, I don't know if somebody is really good at basketball, and they're you know they're able to score on everybody, and you call yourself a professional. Like, no, you're not a professional until you do it against other professionals. So I wouldn't venture there to call him a professional. But I mean, you guys see the thumbnail of the video. I'm still not taking Jake Paul seriously until he fights a professional fighter. You know, this is, at this point, what he does is, it's celebrity boxing. Is it a higher level of celebrity boxing? 100%, but it's still celebrity boxing. Like, he's not fighting anybody who has extensive experience in a ring, or even as much like boxing experiences that he has. Um, he fought Nate Robinson, Ben Askren, who looked completely out of shape. He looked like he didn't train, um, and had no. He didn't even look like he knew where he was at, and he ended up getting knocked out and embarrassed. Just like the whole Nate Robinson thing, which was, that was a really really viral moment, and it was crazy. But Tyron Woodley he's been the best opponent for Jake Paul so far, and that's not really saying a lot for him. It's not. He knows his way around a ring, and it would be impressive if Jake Paul just came off the couch and was able to do what he did. That would be way way more impressive, and people would have to take note of that. But he's been training for 3 years, and he even said it after the fight. During the post fight interviews, he's been training for about 3 years. Because him and his brother are big YouTubers. They have money. They don't have the need to go out and work a 9 to 5 job. So they have the time to put the work in the ring, and to get better, to work with some really really good trainers and stuff. So they have the resources to do that. So him being able to find his way around the ring doesn't really surprise me. It doesn't shock me. So like I said, you can't really take him seriously until he fights a professional boxer. And I don't think I know he was calling before this fight with Woodley. Jake Paul was calling out Canelo, saying he can beat Canelo, and I think we all know that he wouldn't even stand a chance against Canelo. But I don't think Canelo would take the fight because Canelo he's pound for pound like one of the best fighters in the world right now. So he doesn't need the money or the notoriety, and because he's a Mexican fighter, he has a lot of pride in what he does. So I don't think that he wouldn't even entertain that. But there are some fighters who would, and that's what I'm kind of afraid of, because too much of this will make boxing a kind of a sideshow and kind of a circus. There's some good young talent coming up in the ranks. There's really really good talents in the featherweight and the cruiserweights. I want to say is what they fought at last night. There's some good talents coming up in those weight classes. So too much of this celebrity boxing stuff is gonna make boxing. It's not gonna make it. It's not gonna make it look like it's something that the professionals do, and it's not gonna make it look like something hard, like something that's hard to do. It's giving people the false impression that anybody can do it, and not everybody can do it. Boxing is like one of the only sports where you can go to work and die, and it wouldn't be a surprise. We've seen boxers die in the ring. So it's not a walk in the park, but the over I mean the oversaturation of this is not good for the sport, and I worry about that long term. But I mean it is what it is. I know Showtime needs the events. They need as many events as they can get. They had a tough year last year with the pandemic and all that stuff, so I don't really blame them. But I will not take Jake Paul seriously until he fights a professional fighter. I don't want to see him fighting anybody who's big time. I don't want to see a fight between him and I don't know, Adrian Broner. Anybody who's had struggles and who needs money and who wants to take it for a payday. We don't need that. We don't need the guise of and the making it look like it's a fixed fight, or a guy's taking a dive for $1 million, $2 million to fix his financial troubles. Like, we don't need that. We need Jake Paul to fight an up and coming fighter. Who that is, I don't know. If there's any guy who would want to take that fight, well, I'm sure there's a lot of guys who want to take that fight. It's a big payday, but like I said, it's you're not gonna get as much respect for it. If you knock Jake Paul, if you're a professional fighter and you knock Jake Paul out, you have nothing to gain from it except for money. Maybe a few million, but it's kind of circusy at this point. I don't want to see boxing. I don't want to see it evolve into wrestling and into wrestling angles or anything off the wall. This is the sweet science. And there's a lot of good talent, and there's a lot of guys who want to keep it that way. The Paul brothers, I don't know, man. It's just they have a lot of money, and at this point, it's just like self promotion. So I don't think anybody should take Jake Paul seriously. I don't think anybody should take Logan Paul seriously until they fight professional fighters and guys who are not in their 40s. Until they fight guys who are in the same weight class as them, around the same age as them, with more or less the same experience. Then we can take it seriously. Then once they beat those guys, then we can take them seriously and say, hey, okay, these guys are professional boxers. They put the work in. And they did what they needed to do. and they won. So I think that's what needs to happen before we take them seriously. Until then, this is just sideshow. It's Hollywood. It's entertainment. It's WWE light. It's not. I mean, it's not. It's not great. So but yeah, that's the video for today. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you guys for listening.